Twisted Metal at its core is really two things. It's kind of the way we always describe it is like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Mario Kart Battle Mode, Call of Duty, EC Comics, Twilight Zone, Freddy and Jason, and slasher movies, all rolled into one. So it's very competition heavy, multiplayer split screen, 2 to 4 player local, as well as lots of online modes, tons of levels. And it really is, we've always said it's like a fighting game in cars. People think it's not a racing game. It's a shooter. It's a shooter that happens to take place kind of inspired by things like Mad Max and Road Warrior, putting machine guns and flamethrowers and rocket launchers and leaning out the windows with shotguns and sniper rifles. It really is trying to create, and has been since our first one back in '95, a shooter on wheels meets a fighting game. It's kind of this big thing. It's hard to describe because it's its own freaking thing, but we're real proud of it. We love it. The answer is no, it's not camp. Not camp at all. Now, we've shot, I don't know if you've seen them behind us, we've shot live action for the first time, and we've been unveiling that this week. We did it on your show, which was great. But I love it. I look at it and I go, wow, the live action came out a hell of a lot better than I thought it would. And I look at it and I say, okay, is this camp? Well, look, let's watch what's about to happen, right? We're about to see Calypso, who's kind of the big main guy of this story. And is this guy camp? Dude, this guy's straight out of an Image comic from 1990. There's no doubt. But I'm kind of perpetually stuck in 14-year-old mindset. So for someone maybe who's a little bit more, look, I'm not like an idiot. I fucking like smart TV and I like reading books and politics. But when it comes to a lot of entertainment, I like stuff that really speaks to that junior high kid. Even though I'm an adult and I don't think this is a game for little junior high kids. Not that a little, but I don't think this is like a kid game. I still love that stuff that I fantasized and thought about at that age. And so I don't look at this as camp. I look at this as I'm as earnest about this as probably Mortal Kombat is. Juggernaut is a vehicle we've wanted in Twisted Metal since the very first one. Scott Campbell, myself, Kellen Hatch, who's the creative director on the title, and we just couldn't do it. It was technology. It was great, but we just couldn't quite get our vision for this. And this is my favorite vehicle in the game at the moment because huge semi-truck, front cab, rear cab. He opens the back door. He's got his own attacks. He can ram the crap out of you. He launches these great big bouncy mines in the level. But he can also open the rear doors. And when he does that, 2 of his teammates can drive into the back. Each one of them can mount a gun that's on the trailer or the cab. So the top gun, the trailer gun that can slide back and forth, has 2 attacks. It has a missile launcher swarmer attack, and it has a 50 caliber gun attack. Both draw from kind of the same overheat meter. So you've really got to kind of risk reward and decide what you want to do when. Otherwise, you're going to be out of ammo of one type or the other. Or you can switch to the front gun, which is the most devastating gun I think we have in the game, I'm pretty sure, but it's super powerful. What's interesting is that it has a limited range. The top gun on the trailer, 360, full 360. The tri-gun on the top of the cab only has like 230. And so you really have to work with that driver and say, look, if we're going to make a go of this, because this gun will decimate the enemy, but you got to make sure either on headset or you're split screen playing with your buddy online, or you just know the guy, you got a routine down. On the flip side, if you're fighting this guy, whenever the back doors are open, anytime anybody shoots into the back doors, and you got to open those back doors to let guys in and out on your team, you're vulnerable because any shot that goes in inside that trailer when the doors are open does 2 to 3 times more damage.
So you explained what nuke mode was back at E3.
We have changed it though since E3. At E3 we had my statue, my team statue, and your team statue, and I could be offense, defense at any time. And so we ended up adding the ability for the host to say 3 faction leaders, 1 to 3 faction leaders, kind of split up the herd. We didn't want everybody like a big scrum going to the level. But now you're either on offense or defensive within a number of innings. So there could be 3 innings or 1 inning or 20 innings. It's up to the host. And in that inning, I get to play offense with my team. We're trying to take your statue down. We switch, then we're trying to protect our statue from you taking it down. And it just allows you to focus more on the tactics of offense and defense at a more granular level. And then, basically points we've added more. Instead of just the goal, killing the statue, if you have a 3-inning game, it's whoever has the most points at the end. You can get 1 point for every time you hit the statue. If you bring the statue down, it's 2 points. If the defense team manages to stop your team from launching a missile at all in an inning, they get a point. and then at the end of every inning, we'll reset the health and the stats, you put a new one in there. So you really could end up, but really, in a lot of ways, more like baseball in terms of its core scoring system, even though obviously you wouldn't look at this game and think baseball at all. So that's kind of what we're doing with Nuke. There absolutely is persistence. There absolutely is sort of a connection that you can form with sort of just your, not your character, but your score, your PSN ID, or whatever you want to call it, that basically travels with you throughout your Twisted Metal experience and motivates you at a metagame level to keep playing and keep trying to do better. Absolutely. We're just not getting into the details yet. Most shooters today, when Scott and I and Kellen looked at them, it was kind of like step out of a bunker, get shot in the head, respawn, do it again. I get that. I get players like that. We didn't like it. And frankly, our job is to make games that are going to be marketable and commercial, but it's also to make games that aren't out there. And for us, we're like, we don't really like the kind of health philosophy that permeates most online shooters, because you don't get to live in the world long enough to have those massive kind of Marvel team-up slug-outs. I want these to feel like, fuck, man, that was a war, that was a battle. Now, do we have some of the cars right now maybe set a little high, a little low? Yeah, of course, we're not done yet. But I never would want Twisted Metal to become 4 or 5 hits and you're dead, respawn. I do not want that pacing. I want this to feel like a fighting game. And in a fighting game, when you're in a slug match, sometimes those battles can feel epic. And that's what we want out of Twisted Metal, both one-on-one when you're playing split screen or online, or playing a game like Nuke where you've got a lot of guys. I think whether you're a success in what you do or a failure in what you do, the minute you stop being nervous and you stop, if I wasn't nervous, it would mean that me and the team weren't pushing ourselves to try new things and bring new things to this game. If I wasn't nervous, it would mean that we were just phoning it in. And I don't want to go through my life doing that. I fall in love with the games I work on. So does Scott, so does the team in Utah, so does Sony Santa Monica. That's kind of why I've loved working with Sony for so long, is you really get to do passionate projects. And so, yeah, I'm fucking nervous. I'm terrified. I'm terrified to go online. I went online last night and I watched your SOCOM review, right? And I'm like, fuck, what's it going to feel like on October 4th or 5th when you guys put your review up? I'm going to have knots in my stomach. I'm going to be fucking, nervous as hell when that little dude comes out and it's the story guy and he's all crying and shit when he jumps on that guy's back. Shit makes me nervous, and so, but I think that's what makes us good. I think that's what makes anybody good. And I'm nervous specifically tonight, because it's not done yet. I would prefer no one to play this game until we're finished, and I would prefer to make this game in a vacuum, and I would prefer to do tons of focus testing that no one ever knows about, and then release it when it's ready, because until it's perfect, I know what it's supposed to be. And I don't want it out there, and Scott doesn't want it out there until it's what we see in our heads. So until it's done, it's not done, and so you're always nervous. It's terrifying. Twisted Metal will be October 4th, 2011.